Hi, honey, how are you? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, I'm Teknikolour. My boyfriend CinnabonAndy and I just hosted our very first build collaboration in The Sims 4 called the Cluedo Crossing Mansion, which is essentially a build at the crossroads of two of our favorite games, The Sims 4 and Clue, or Cluedo, depending on where you are in the world. Together with some incredible builders, we created the Clue Mansion in The Sims 4 with our fellow collaborators, all designing one or two of the location card rooms from Clue. Beachy Peasy Sandy did the library and lounge, Holly Dolly, the dining room and study, Kev the Builder, the kitchen and billiard room, Pacific Creative, the hall and conservatory, and Spring Sims did the two-story ballroom. Before we get into the build though, I should mention that I post weekly Sims builds here right on YouTube. So if you like what you see, please be sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you're planning on grabbing any Sims packs, please use my creator code, Teknikolour, at checkout on the EA app. A portion of your sale, instead of going to EA, goes to me, which seriously helps me out as a small creator. I'm going to be a bit of a tease here, but this is the version of the mansion that we provided to the builders. It's mostly just a shell right now, but as you can see, CinnabonAndy worked on the exterior and the overall shell of the build. As an architect, he wanted to create an accurate floor plan of the iconic Clue Mansion, as it appears in Marmalade Games' Cluedo Classic Edition, which was released in 2016. And he did just that. You'll see that each square on the first floor of the mansion represents an actual movement space on the Tudor Mansion map of Clue. What was really fun was after I unveiled the mansion on my Twitch stream this past weekend, some of the builders and I also played a couple of games of Clue together. We weren't sure if there was a mod out there that could turn our mansion into a playable game board. Plus, we'd still need to figure out how to disperse game cards throughout all of the players, and then how to reveal information during any player guesses. So it made much more sense to boot up the Marmalade Games version of Clue. Pacific Creative was responsible for the hall, and she wanted to make sure that, as the very first room you encounter once entering the mansion, the hall would be a grand and inviting space. I loved how Pacific tackled this room, because I feel like you could very easily end up overdoing it. But she used the right amount of marbling and statues paired with these luxurious red curtains to help soften the space. Our next room, the lounge, was designed by Beachy Peasy Sandy, and she was inspired by the in-game visuals from Clue and said that she had a tough time trying to find the right wallpaper for this room. The in-game map uses a more orange color paired with the yellow furnishings. And as you know, we are in dire need of more options when it comes to certain colors in The Sims 4. However, Sandy did a terrific job of capturing the richness and warmth that the lounge exudes. I was shocked to find out that our next builder, Holly Dolly, who built this dining room, and Beachy Peasy Sandy, had not had a conversation with each other because their rooms are at the front of the mansion. Along with Pacific Creative's hall, these front rooms truly set the stage for the overall feel of the mansion, and their rooms just complemented each other so beautifully. Holly also included some definitely not suspicious bottles on top of the fireplace mantle, and did a bit of research on Clue to find ways to bring in specific decor in her rooms. For instance, she mentioned that sunflowers may typically be seen in the dining room, which I had no idea about. There's also iconic weapons like the candlestick, or items with potential like this crystal and mantle clock. Kev the Builder worked on the kitchen, which I thought was perfect given his history as host of a popular Sims competition, the Great Simlish Bake Off. I actually competed in season 6. I adore the fact that Kev used, I believe, curtain attachments to create crown molding across the entire kitchen. He's also not the biggest fan of the fridges in the game, so he gave us a Kev the Builder original pantry to hide away the fridge, but also provide an extra touch that feels like it would fit in with the time period of this mansion. The ballroom, much like the hall, is another quite grand room, and unlike all the other rooms, is 2 stories tall. Spring Sims Gaming Awards 2024 winner of the LGBTQ Streamer of the Year Award was in charge of this room and delivered something beautiful, even though he's been in the process of moving and dealing with that whole headache. Spring, like many of our builders, was inspired by the game's Tudor Mansion map visuals and gave us a formal and airy ballroom that fits in perfectly to our own mansion. While Spring Sims had a single 2-story room, the other builders each had 2 individual spaces. First up is Pacific Creative's second room, the conservatory. When I showed this on stream, I felt like all of us took a collective gasp. The room is absolutely stunning and is definitely serving Mrs. Peacock vibes. The furniture Pacific used here is so on point for a room like this. I personally think that she had one of the more difficult tasks to complete, since the hall is so different from the rest of the mansion in basically every iteration of Clue. But the conservatory is also unlike all of the other rooms, and basically has its own distinct vibe, given the glass walls and obvious temperature difference. The billiard room, designed by Kev the Builder, also captures the spirit of a billiard room, though in this instance is unfortunately just a game room. This might surprise you, but as of yet, there is no billiards table available in The Sims 4. I do believe that there is custom content or mods that do exist to right this wrong, and I think Kev even tried to see if that would work in here, but wouldn't fit given the size we built the room at. I really enjoyed that he added some cobwebs at the corners and even a suspicious bag of money. He even added a nod to my personal player choice in Clue, Mr. Green, with this statue in the corner. The library brought us more of the talents of Beachy Peasy Sandy. I think that this is a room I would likely end up spending a lot of my time in, given how much I love the dark green wallpaper. I mentioned this during the reveal stream, but it's shocking to me that before the Life and Death expansion, we really had limited dark green walls in this style, if any. There's just something different about a darker green room, and that perfectly fits a library of this caliber. My chat was very impressed with how Sandy was able to create rooms that feel so cozy, but have that richness to them. Our final room on the ground floor is Holly Dolly's study. Holly wanted to go with that typical office feel, where someone might be writing notes or letters, not the computer rooms that we have today, and a study that had that old money vibe. I really appreciated the inclusion of this pet crow perch. Since our mansion is located on the Crow's Perch lot in the Crow's Crossing neighborhood of Ravenwood, it felt like the perfect touch for such a stately mansion. Clue is nothing without its secret passageways, and you'll be happy to find that we didn't leave those out of our build. The study has a hidden passage into the basement, leading us back into the pantry in the kitchen. Additionally, this door, conveniently covered by a tapestry in the conservatory, will bring us back to the basement and let us out in the front of the mansion, in the lounge. While CinnabonAndy built the shell of our mansion and decorated the exterior, and our building collaborators had these rooms on the first floor, I was responsible for this main hallway and the rest of the upper floors. For this hallway and the stair landing above, I went through so many different iterations. While the other builders were able to decorate their own rooms and had a general idea for the overall decor theme of the entire mansion, I tried to make sure that my parts tied the rest of these rooms together in a way that felt cohesive. We wanted the iconic Clue rooms to be representative of our builders, but also feel as if they were part of this single mansion and not disjointed. For instance, an ultra-modern study just would have broken the immersion, and I am so grateful to our collaborators for truly understanding the overarching theme of the Clue Mansion and building rooms that came together beautifully while still being decorated by separate individuals. Since the mansion quite clearly isn't just a one-story building, I had to use my own imagination to tell a story of the Sims living here, while still maintaining the Clue theme. Turning right off of the stairs, we head into what I'm describing as the twin daughters' room. These siblings have different styles and interests, with one much more interested in the arts, which will come into play a bit later, and is likely influenced from the parents' decor of the first floor. This room is also representative of the Professor Plum character. Next up is a shared bathroom inspired by Mr. Green, with a lovely window above the tub that opens to a balconette. The next room is what I'm considering our primary bedroom, with an ensuite bathroom, inspired by Mrs. Scarlet. While the mansion is usually Mr. Body or Mr. Black's, Miss Scarlet was always my favorite Clue character growing up, so I decided to design this bedroom around her. However, there are subtle hints to the true owner of the mansion with the black or darker details. One might even say that this is a room fit for a Mrs. Bella Goth. The next room is a bit more open and combines the colors of many of the characters, but leans more Colonel Mustard. It's meant to be a sort of informal living space. We'll come back to this door here at the end since it leads upstairs, and we'll check out the rest of the second story now. Our next bedroom is a bit more sophisticated, perfect for Dr. Orchid or Mrs. White. This was actually the first room that I started working on myself and almost became the primary bedroom. However, I felt like this room had a sort of elevated feel to it, while still remaining quite neutral. Still, everyone is a suspect in Clue, so there are pops of color throughout. The bathroom next door is decorated in the style of Mr. Body, since I felt like he was missing his representation here. Our final room, I decorated as a kind of guest room. While this room would have been quite tight with a full bed, I opted for 2 single beds and used Mrs. Peacock as inspiration. I went a bit dark and uninviting over by the dresser with the 2 statuettes of a cat and dog next to a bowl of bones. Our final space to tour is the attic, which I spent almost an entire day working on. I wanted this to feel like a typical attic used for storage, but also which one of the Plum twins had taken over as a bit of an art studio. There's also room for a bit of gardening or flower arranging, since I knew that the conservatory might be a bit tight. Like a few of the builders, I added wall and floor decor to make this space feel a bit more aged and run down. This was my very first time hosting a Sims Build collaboration along with CinnabonAndy, and we are so thrilled that these builders signed on to join us. Each of the collaborators, like myself, are all content creators, so I'll be linking their socials down below. Please go and send the love on over to each of them. And thank you again to Beachy Peasy Sandy, Holly Dolly, Kev the Builder, Pacific Creative, and Spring Sims for lending us your talents to make our dream of creating the Clue Mansion within The Sims 4. If you'd like to add our build to your game, you can grab it off of the gallery using my EA ID, Teknikolour. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my builds in the future. Plus, for more Sims content, I play my pack-based Legacy Challenge every Thursday over on Twitch. If you're planning on picking up any Sims packs, please consider using my creator code, Teknikolour, at checkout on the EA app. It's free for you and supports the channel. Plus, my code can now be used on so many other EA titles, not just The Sims. I also believe that many of our collaborators are in the EA Creator Network, so see if they have a code that you can use, especially if you loved their contributions as much as Andy and I did. But thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.